What's the best bourbon for the proof? Let's find out. What is going on, everybody? Nathan here with the Everyday Drinker, bringing you guys a brand new video. Now, there are many lists out there of best bourbons for this, best bourbons for that, best bourbons for this situation, for that situation. I wanted to do a video on best bourbons for the proof. Now, we have specific proof categories that we have to fulfill. You have the under 90 proof. Then I broke it down into 5 proof points on the increment scale. So you got 90 to 95, 96 to 100, 101 to 105, 106 to 110, 111 to 115, 116 to 120, 121 to 125, 126 to 130, and then 131 to 135, because that is the highest proofing the category that I have in my collection on the shelves behind me. You might have more, who freaking knows? I don't. Now, this is a little bit more difficult than I imagined it to be, honestly, because there are some categories where I have a bunch of bottles, and then there are some categories where I only have a couple of bottles, but those bottles in that category are really good. So to decipher and pick out just one in those 4 or 5 proof points is very difficult. So this is going to most likely be a different list compared to others, right? I mean, you have to pick out for in that 100 proof, right? There are so many bottles. You have bottled and bonds. You have other just bottles proofed at 100 proof. It's difficult, but we had to get through it, and I came up with my list. There are 10 bottles on this list, so I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you drop a like if you enjoy the video. Drop a comment down below on what you think is the best proof and what bottles you would put in your proof ranges, right? And also, if you're brand new, smash that subscribe button, because at 5,000 subscribers, a lucky subscriber is going to get their hands on a bottle of Blanton's and a choice of a black or heather gray t-shirt and sweatshirt. Also, check out the Patreon down below. As little as $2 a month, you can win free samples, Glencairns, glass sets, whatever it is. Just make sure you go check it out if you haven't already and see if you want to join up. But without further ado, we have the under 90 proof category. I only have 2 bottles in this category. One of them is a true bourbon. One of them is not a true bourbon. But for me, I think that the non-true bourbon comes out on top, because the bourbon is a little bit more difficult to find for a lot of people, but the non-bourbon is close enough to being a bourbon that it deserves its spot. And that bottle goes to Michters Small Batch American Whiskey. So what this is it's pretty much just bourbon. It's just not aged in new charred American oaks. It's going in old used bourbon barrels, and for me, it mellows it out. It's coming in at 83.4 proof, so it's a very low proofer. I talk smack about this bottle a lot only because of the price range that this bottle is in. It's over $40 in most places. For me, that's a little steep for something like this, but on this list, on these tiers, we got to put it on here. It's a good bottle for the flavor profile that comes out of this bottle. It's just, to me, it's a little steep on that price, but price is aside on this video. Now, bottle number 2, we are looking at the 91 to 95 proof bottle, and that bottle goes to one that I clear house with all the time, go through these bottles like crazy, because it's a really delicious pour. It's Maker's Mark 46. It's not the cask strength, it's just the 94 proof. It's 94 proof. For me, really good proof point for mixing, sipping it neat. The French oak that this thing is finished with is just bonkers. Wraps my tongue up in a nice, delicious vanilla bomb hug, and I love my Maker's Mark 46, so that's why it has a spot on this list. Bottle number 3 is that 96 to 100 proof category, and this was the most difficult category tier to choose from because of all of those delicious bottled and bond bottles and other just 100 proofers and bottles that are from that 96 to 100. Like, I really wanted to put where is it, this one right here, the Bardstown High Rye, coming in at 96 proof, delicious bottle. But I had to give the edge to E.H. Taylor Small Batch. Now, I know some people find this all the time. Some people don't find it ever. And I've been fortunate enough to find 2 bottles of this. And for me, it is just a quintessential bottled in bond bottle of bourbon at 100 proof. It is very, very well balanced. Very, very drinkable. Very, very easy to drink. Does not drink at 100 proof. Drinks like it's a 90 proofer. It's super sweet, super mellow, super just like one of those bottles that you wish you could have, and I'm sorry that everybody can't have it. And there will be other bottles on this list that other people don't have, and I wish personally that you could. But nonetheless, E.H. Taylor Small Batch, in my opinion, I think because of the discrepancies and the inconsistencies with single barrel, that if I could only have one blend for it, I would go for the small batch over the single barrel. Next up, we have the 101 to 105 tier. Now, this one is really difficult because I don't have many bottles in that proof range, right? There's only a couple of them. And, well, we're going to go with the one that everybody loves in this proof range, and that bottle goes to Wild Turkey 101. Why would this not be up here? It deserves its rightful place on this bar top, on this tier list. It stands up to the E.H. Taylor small batch. It does its own. It has its place. It's a delicious pour. 1 proof higher than the E.H. Taylor, but it's got to be in there. It's absolutely delicious. Delicious for under $30 now. You can find this, and you still should be able to find the liter bottles. Those are like $35, right? You can't go wrong with that bottle. But nonetheless, Wild Turkey 101 has its spot on the proof tier list. Next up, we are at 106 to 110. Now, this one, again, was a difficult one to choose from. Not a ton of bottles in this proof category, but nonetheless, I got one that you guys are probably going to be a little surprised by. It's going to go to the Maker's Mark BRT 01. Now, when I did the review of the 01 and 02 from last year, initially the 02 was my top dog out of the 2, but after a while, I've gone back to both of them, and the 01, in my opinion, is just top-notch, delicious over top of that 02. 02 is a little bit more dark and damp, while this one is just light and fruity, has some very nice sweetness coming through on it, and that's why the BRT 01 is coming out on top and taking this rightful spot in that 106 to 110 proof range. Next up, we're at 111 to 115 proof range. This is one of my absolute favorite proof ranges to enjoy, right? It's not too hot, but you're getting a full spectrum of flavor coming out of these whiskeys and bourbons and whatever you're drinking. This is like I said, my personal favorite 5 proof points to dabble in and enjoy, right? So this bottle is none other than one of my absolute favorites of all time going in this proof, and that bottle goes to Barrell Bourbon Batch 31. 111 proof bottle. I cannot speak highly enough about this blend of whiskeys going into this bottle of beautiful, beautiful bourbon that Barrell did. Absolute cream of the crop bottle by Barrell. If you can find this in your area, make sure you pick it up, because most places will have a range of batches. I know one place a couple miles down the road from me has like from 28 all the way up to 35 now, and you know, you just cannot go wrong. This is my quintessential Barrell blend. And I don't know if it's Barrell's favorite blend that they put out, but it is my favorite blend that Barrell has put out. And I know a lot of you also enjoy it as well. And that's why this bottle deserves its spot on this list. Next up, we are looking at the 116 to 120 proof range. And again, it's another really delicious bottle. It's one that I am very, very excited that I was able to get my hands on when I went down to Tennessee for my bachelor party, and that bottle goes to Blue Note Las Notas. Finished in French oak barrels, not just staves. It had a full French oak marriage, you would say. You had the American oak barrel. Then he went and got dumped into a French oak barrel and had a very, very fun life in that barrel. And beautiful flavors came out of it. That's why this bottle right here deserves its spot. It is 119.8 proof, so it is right there on the cusp of fitting in this proof range, but nonetheless deserves its spot. Next up, we have the 121 to 125 proof range, and this is another really difficult one for me to fit a bottle in. There are only a handful of bottles that I have that are in this proof range, so I had to go with something a little out of the box, and that bottle is going to go to one that we talked about the other day, 1792 full proof, coming in at 125 proof. It's one that is going to be in that 45, pushing $55 prices in some places, but here in my area, I can mostly find it for under 50 bucks. And for 125 proof, you're gonna get a full-fledged, packed full of flavor bottle of bourbon that you will most likely enjoy. Single barrels of these are out there, and from what I have experienced, they are better than just the regular offering of the full proof. But if you can't find those, always make sure you pick one of these up to have on your shelf, to have a little bit higher proofed bottle if you're not in that wheelhouse of enjoying it. It's a cheaper bottle. It's a very nice small batch blend that 1792 puts out, and for me, that's why it deserves a spot on this list. Next up, we are getting into the two beefy boys, the 126 all the way up to 135 proof, right? And there are two bottles on here that I have behind me that you guys are most likely expecting to be on this list, and they are. But first, we have to do the 126 to 130 proof bottle, and that bottle goes to E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. This is 127.3 proof, and the blinds that this bottle has gone in already have told me that this is most likely going to be one of my absolute best bottles I've ever been able to get my hands on. It's one that I wish everybody was able to get their hands on because of just how well balanced and the flavor profile of this bottle is one that will fit everybody. And I'm lucky enough to have my hands on this bottle, and I don't want that to go to show that I'm trying to shove it into your face. I'm really not. I'm wanting you to know how well this bottle is, so that if you have the opportunity to pick it up, you definitely can. It's one that you should if you have the option to do so. And finally, for 131 to 135 proof, I only have 3 bottles in this proof range. 2 of them are the same bottle. One of them is one that I'm just not a big fan of. And, well, I have to go with one of the 2 that are up there, and we're going with Stag Junior Batch 15. Absolute bomb of a pour. 131.1 proof. One that you just cannot go wrong with. It's going to be packed full of those beautiful, beautiful Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 1 flavors. Rumor has it, it probably is true, but this is older than this, but they're aged in completely different areas. In different rick houses at the distillery, so flavor profiles are going to be a little bit different coming out of these bottles, and they really, really are. For me, the E.H. Taylor comes out as a little bit more sweet and mellowed out, whereas the Stag, even though it's still Mash Bill 1 low rye, comes out as a little bit spicier. It comes out with a little bit more of like a syrupy Coke grape soda flavor profile, whereas this is a very sweet oak, has a lot of beautiful light fruits coming out of it. So they are different, even though they are technically the same. But there you guys have it. Those are the 10 bottles in the 10 proof ranges that we went through, right? We had a range of bourbons, and these are the ones that I went with. Let me know down in the comments below if you think my tier list is good. Let me know down in the comments as well what bottles you would have went with. But until next time, it's been Nathan with the Everyday Drinker. Cheers.